Hello, this is Strategy Miscellany, continuing our campaign in Rule the Waves 2 as France. It is April 1917. We have just won a major war against the Austro-Hungarians, and we're looking to prepare our navy to succeed in the coming age of air power. Although, right now we can build an air base, but we don't actually have any French aircraft available yet. We could request proposals from companies, but I think first I'm just going to wait and see if they develop anything organically, and then we'll maybe do a design contest to try and get something better. But the first thing I'm going to do is once these ships get back to Northern Europe, I'm going to put most of the fleet into reserve status to save on money. So, let me just hit this all reserve button. And we'll go ahead and put the air bases in reserve too, sure. And now we're almost on balance, except for I am going to put the Duxelles here on active fleet. We'll consider that the flagship. So now we've almost balanced the budget. And the other good news is one of the Villiers class is going to be done in a few months. So after that, we should have a budget surplus. Start being able to think about new construction again. And the Voltaire class destroyers here will be done before too long too. I would like to stay at peace for a few years and have some time for peacetime development. The next war, when we start thinking about it, possibly Germany if something goes wrong with our treaty with them, possibly Italy. I'd really like to try and do a campaign against Japan. I just think it would be interesting to have to send a big fleet, all the way through our bases here, here, all the way out to here to try and take like Taiwan from the Japanese. And although they don't have that many colonial territories, do they? They have Taiwan, and they don't seem to have seized the Koreas or anything. Hokkaido, I guess. I could try and claim Hokkaido off them. So that's another option. And then the Italians, of course, it would be another war in the Med, basically. Most of it would be about, Libya, Sardinia, Rhodes, possibly Eritrea down here. And then in the long run, I would like to try a campaign against the United States, take places like Puerto Rico and Guantanamo Bay. Let me look at the almanac here and see what the budget looked like. So basically, there's kind of, there's Austria, Italy, and Japan are all quite a bit behind on budget. And Austria just had a bunch of their big ships sunk by me, too, so they're not in great shape at all. Um, then there's Germany getting a little closer to me, then there's me, and then Britain and France are both well ahead of me still right now. Britain has 10 battleships and 4 battle cruisers. I have 2 battle cruisers and no battleships at present. So either of them would be a difficult fight. But by some point in the game, I would like to try it, even if we get beaten. I still think it would be an entertaining thing for y'all to watch and an entertaining thing to try and take on the Royal Navy before the end of this campaign. But for now, I'll let things run forwards, and I'll get back to when we have a new design to develop or when something else dramatic happens. All right, it's April 1918, and we've just got one more Villiers building, and we've got quite a positive monthly balance. I am going to attempt to design a new sort of colonial service light cruiser to replace some of our older models. As you can see, we've still got a Muse class out there in Southeast Asia that's quite obsolete. We've got the Somme class all over that are going to be obsolete soon. And I'd like to build something that's a little larger, actually has anti-aircraft guns on it, and is just built with more modern technology. So I'll design something and I'll show you off what I've got. Okay, so this is our new light cruiser, the Ysair. It is a displacement of 6,600 tons, has four 8-inch guns, four 5-inch guns, four anti-aircraft guns, 30 mines, and it does have a little bit of torpedo defense, a light armor scheme, long range, colonial service, 26 knots. The idea is we'll build this and just send them all over the world to deal with our tonnage on foreign stations requirement primarily and act as some uh, minor defensive forces there, mine laying against enemy shipping, that sort of thing. So here we are. We will start building those in a couple months once the design is ready. And then I think we need to start thinking about a new armored cruiser type too. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, now we can build Ysair types. And I'm going to get 4 of them in the hopper here. And I'd also like to have a coastal battery in Dalmatia in case we end up fighting the Italians here. Oh, and actually looking at this, I think we should scrap some of these older coastal batteries that are so small. They're just not that useful in this modern day and age. And then let's get building a new big one in French Algeria here since we got rid of theirs. And we can keep up our treaty with Germany. All right, I will get back to you when we design a new armored cruiser or possibly a light battle cruiser. All right, it's October 1920, and we've just had a very major event here. A naval arms limitation treaty has been agreed, even though I said in the event try not to agree to anything binding. And we're extremely limited on the types of ships we can build. We can only build ships up to 12,000 tons displacement with a maximum caliber of 10 inches. This will be, it says, in force for 17 years. I think if a war breaks out, it basically breaks the treaty, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. But for now, yeah, so the Germans had to stop building a couple of ships, the Brits had to stop building 3, the US. I actually, thankfully, wasn't building anything small, large enough to get in the way of that. But it really means these Villiers class and Bernadotte class are going to be the biggest ships around for a long time. And we're probably going to need to rebuild these Davout class because we can't build anything that size anymore. We're just not allowed to. Now, I do have the Ysair classes going out to replace some of our old ships on foreign stations. So, for example, I can scrap this old ship in West Africa because I've got its replacement in West Africa now. And pretty soon I should be able to do the same for the Indian Ocean and for Northeast Asia. and hopefully also for Southeast Asia. But let me just try and retrofit this design here. So I am actually going to replace the machinery, try to get it to go a little faster. And maybe with that new machinery in there, see if we can upgun the ship a little bit. Cannot rebuild to main guns exceeding treaty limitations. Oh, also apparently oil is now universally available, so we can actually use that. Okay, let's see if it likes this one any better. Okay, there's a good rebuild of the Davu. And let's put both of these in rebuilding status. It'll be expensive, but we gotta have good battleships around. So it's January of 1922, and my domestic industry has still not developed an aircraft. So I would like to ask them to do so here. I'm going to request a proposal for a fighter aircraft with a first priority of range and a second priority of, let's say, reliability. Because at the beginning, you mostly just want scout aircraft. And so hopefully I should get some air proposals that I can look over in the next few months. Now, let's see where I'm short on tonnage. Looks like the South Pacific is where I need to move somebody to. I was thinking that ship should be plenty. Apparently not. So we'll move this guy back to the South Pacific. And I would like a couple more submarines. I'm actually going to scrap my coastal submarines here and have it be an all medium range sub fleet. And we have a domestic source of oil in Corsica. Good news. Okay, so here are the fighter prototypes they've given us. Neither of them have particularly effective range. I'll go ahead and take the Dewantin Loire 41 here. And I think I can start building an airbase with it on there too now. So So let's put an air base in Western France at, say, Dunkirk. And once the airbase is built, I can put some aircraft on it. Let's do the same thing in the Med here. Southern France at Marseille. And it looks like the next war might be with Italy, actually. Uh, all else being equal, although our agreement with Germany has expired too, so that's a possibility too. All right, so let's manage the air group here at Naval Station Dunkirk. I guess it hasn't entered full service yet. Okay, there it is. It's 4 months away from being complete in development, it looks like. And here's the Germans building something right at the limits of what they're allowed to build. And they've just packed it with 6-inch guns, it looks like, is what they're going with here. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to manually set their air units for these first bases here. Hmm. Apparently that's the most I can put on there. Ah, here we go. There's the Dewontinois. So we'll go ahead and change this a little bit here. Get rid of these flying boats. And go ahead and put in these Dewontinoirs. Now, of course, we have to wait for those to actually get produced by our industry, but that should happen before too long. And we could actually put some on a carrier. Well, I don't think we have a reliable, proper aircraft carrier yet. All we have are seaplane carriers at this point, I believe. Put some more subs in the queue. Scrap a few outdated ships. And now what I'd like to do is design a 10,000 ton heavy cruiser here. Something long range so I can send it on raiding missions. Something fast, of course. And I'll show you the full thing once I've got the design gun done here. Okay, so here we have the heavy cruiser Strasbourg. It has 9 9-inch guns, and then it has 8 5-inch guns, 10 light anti-aircraft guns, good torpedo defense, 4.5-inch belt, 4 inches on the turrets, 1.5 inches on the deck. It doesn't have any immunity zone against its own gun, which is not ideal. Maybe it means it's a little overgunned for what it is. In fact, let me try something here. Okay, so now it barely has an immunity zone at 15,000 yards against its own guns. And it is named the Strasbourg, even though that city was part of Alsace-Lorraine, which I think, with no sort of successful war against the Germans, we would still have it under German control. But, Alsace-Lorraine is rightfully part of France, and this is our way of claiming that. Go ahead and get the Strasbourg into the build queue as soon as possible. And let me look at my air bases here. Okay, so far I still have no actual aeroplanes. Hopefully production starts on those quickly. And there's been a fascist coup in Italy. That's pretty historical for 1923, actually, and is probably going to raise tension with them, I assume. Let's see. Given the way tensions are rising with the Italians, I think it would be wise for me to move some of these ships to the Med. And I think it would also be wise to design a new destroyer model. Now that I can build them up to 1,500 tons displacement. Okay, so here we have the Rousseau class destroyer, 1,400 tons, 30 knots. Has two 5-inch guns, and then now we've got these triple torpedo tubes. So it's got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 torpedo tubes. Now, some of those are on the sides, it can only be used in one direction, but still, the ship carries a ton of torpedoes, 3 anti aircraft guns, 10 mines, minesweeping gear. It's really a destroyer that can do it all, and I would love to have some built before the war with Italy starts, assuming that's the next war, which seems likely. So let's get 6 of our new destroyer models on the slipways, and a couple of Strasbourg class armored cruisers. Because it looks like the war with Italy is definitely coming. Now we can start building light aircraft carriers. And it looks like in May of 1923, the war has begun with the Italians. And we start off with a convoy attack, it looks like. I'm not sure whose convoy is attacked, whether it's us or them. It's off of Malta. And we've got one armored cruiser, one old armored cruiser. I think we're probably attacking their convoy. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we can get in among their convoy here and cause some trouble. Better accelerate to 20 knots. Hope their destroyers aren't able to torpedo us. Or otherwise blow us up. And hope to get in among their merchant ships here. And unfortunately, it looks like they got us. And so we sank a couple of their transports, but it was still a major victory for the Italians because they sank our cruiser Leon. Inauspicious start to the war, that's for sure. So mobilize everybody. See what more ships we can bring down to the Med. And we got to get some ships on trade protection here, too. All right, put one of these obsolete ships out in Southeast Asia on trade protection. And let's have one of our Bernadottes go out and do some naval raiding. Hmm. Not sure how that happened, why our ships are unable to oppose them there. We clearly have ships there. Let's take you off of raiding and put you back into active fleet. And let's take the Sufren, move it down to the Med also. And let's use some of this wartime budget to build a Yasser and a couple more Strasbourgs. Alright, now they declined battle. And we're blockading them. And now we get an epic fleet battle. Alright, we've got 4 battle cruisers here. 2 battleships. No scout forces for our... Or no, like, destroyer squadron for our ships. I guess because they're all in trade protection. So hopefully the Italians don't just swarm us with destroyers and blow up our ships. As long as that doesn't happen, I think we can probably do okay here. And I believe this war breaks the treaty limitations. We'll have to look at that, but I think so. Okay, I think we're starting to do some damage there. Hard to say. That's one of their Zeppelin scouts, I believe. Well, so I think their fleet went back to port. Oh, looks like they have a few other ships out here. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, that's a big one. I think our ship has slightly more firepower. Our ships have slightly more firepower. And the good news is we have some of their friends coming in too. So hopefully we can sink that Italian battleship. If so, then we can turn this into a glorious victory for France. But I think they're running back to port, and unfortunately, I think they're probably going to make it. Maybe we can at least sink a couple of these destroyers here. We'll see. Well, we can at least catch these coastal patrol boats or destroyers or whatever they are. The night is falling. All right, with night falling, I think it's time to head home. And we sank two corvettes, one destroyer, did some decent damage to a battleship, had some of ours plinked dead. The good news is we should definitely be able to keep up the blockade after that. And I've been forgetting we should set an invasion target. Let's set our invasion target as Sardinia here. And hopefully we'll get enough of these ships done soon enough that we can bring the budget back to positive in time. Submarines finishing up will help too. So for now, I'm going to end this episode here with the beginning of our second war with the Italians. Hopefully we can bring this one to a successful conclusion and ensure French dominance over the Mediterranean. And with that, maybe get ready to actually fight one of the major powers, Britain or the United States. Or possibly fight the Germans again. But that's definitely borrowing trouble at this point, thinking ahead that far. I should build another air base somewhere so that I have something out. You know, having one in the Antilles would actually be good. In case I do fight the United States. Okay, and here now I have 20 aircraft of the one fighter type that I have at my 2 naval air stations. Excellent. All right, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.